There is something noticeably different about folks who grew up in the 1980s. Most people from that decade look around at today's world and feel like they somehow stepped off a spaceship into a place that barely resembles what they knew. It is not because they cannot adjust. It is because they remember a way of living younger generations will never get to experience. It was such a unique time that even now, decades later, you still catch yourself saying things like, "The 1980s were hands down the best years to be a kid." Or as one person put it perfectly, "We had no seatbelts, no bike helmets, and half the time the front door was wide open." You lived through a childhood that would probably get parents questioned by authorities today. And all that chaos did not damage you. It shaped you. Your brain developed during a one-of-a-kind window in history. Psychologists are only now starting to understand why people who grew up in the 1980s seem mentally wired in a way that is completely different from anyone raised in the current era. The first trait is what psychologists call hardwired confidence, but I like to describe it as a built-to-win mindset. This quality is something the 1980s practically trained into you. Think about what you saw and heard every day as a kid. The Cold War was winding down. The economy was full of optimism. Rocky always won in the end. The Goonies never gave up. Every song on the radio told you to keep fighting, to take on life head first, to keep believing in yourself. The entire culture was basically shouting one message at you: you can do this. That is why the modern world of doom scrolling and constant fear feels so completely foreign. Your default setting is hope. You grew up brave because the world around you gave you a reason to be brave. The second trait comes straight from that growing economy. Researchers call it latchkey autonomy, but to you it probably felt more like home alone independence. Because your parents were both working, you let yourself in after school, fixed your own snacks, did your homework, or decided not to, and figured out the rest of the day without an adult hovering over you. Kids who had that regular, unsupervised time ended up with stronger internal drive and better decision-making skills. No one was organizing your schedule. No one was tracking your progress. No one was telling you what to do next. You had to build your own sense of direction, and you still rely on that inner compass today. It is why you can plan, adjust, and get things done without needing someone else's approval. You learned to be self-sufficient long before you knew what the word even meant. The third trait is something researchers connect to an effort equals reward mindset, and it affected the way you feel satisfaction. If you wanted to play a video game, you saved quarters for weeks, then rode your bike to the arcade. If you wanted to hear your favorite song, you sat by the radio for hours with a cassette tape ready, waiting to hit record at the perfect moment. If you wanted to watch a movie, you biked to the rental store, hoping the tape was still available. Studies on delayed rewards show that people who grew up waiting and working for things develop stronger dopamine regulation and better impulse control. Your brain learned early on that meaningful rewards show up after effort, not after clicking a button. That is why instant gratification feels empty to you. Your entire system was built for the journey, not just the prize. You were unstoppable when you wanted something, because you understood what it cost to get it. The fourth trait explains why you stay steady in situations that make others fall apart. Scientists call it physical world confidence. You grew up in a world where everything was real and touchable. You owned things: tapes, records, posters, collections. When something broke, it was gone for good. When you lent something out, there was a real chance you would never see it again. You learned what value meant. Not digital files floating in a cloud, but real objects with real weight. And it went beyond possessions. You navigated the world without global positioning systems, without Google searches, and without a parent watching your every move on a smartphone. You figured things out because you had to. That kind of confidence gets built into your bones. The fifth trait might be the most interesting of all. Psychologists call it presence capacity. the ability to be fully engaged in the moment. The 1980s were the last decade before everything turned into content. You were not filming moments for social media. You were not posing, documenting, or trying to impress an invisible audience. You were living your life right there in real time. You experienced things with full attention, and because of that, your memories are sharper and more vivid. You were not splitting your focus between living and recording. You were completely present, and that presence stuck with you. This is why you can wait without feeling anxious. This is why you do not need constant stimulation. Your brain was trained in a world that required you to focus, and that is still how you operate. So every time you look around today and feel like you do not quite fit in, remember this. You are not outdated. You are built with strengths the modern world rarely teaches anymore. What some people call stubbornness is actually self-reliance. What others see as old school is pure competence. You were raised in freedom, not fragile. And now that you are older, it makes sense that today's world feels strange, because it truly is. You came from a time when childhood still happened.